Hello everyone, Pappy Richard here. Thanks for joining me. I'm down in Guatemala working on a mission trip. And guess what we found? Yeah, we found the smallest honeybees in Guatemala. I can't believe these bees are so tiny, but if you look very closely, they are bringing in pollen. Here's a look at the activity at the entrance. Boy, these bees are really busy going in and out. These bees are very small, as you can see. They're probably only a 1/4 inch in length, maybe 3/8 of an inch at the most, but they're obviously not the same bees that we're used to keeping in our Langstroth hives back home. The bees we keep there are called Apis mellifera, and best I can tell from a little bit of research that I did, these bees are one of the 70-some species of Apis melipona. They have made their hive in a bamboo shoot that's being used to hold up the concrete forms for the overhang on the church entrance. I slowed the video down here to get a slow motion clip of one of the bees actually bringing in some pollen. If you look closely, you can see the pollen sacs there on her hind legs. Now, I did a bunch of research on these bees, and I wanted to share that with you. I found some really interesting facts about this. The Apis melipona, it's a genus of stingless bees that's closely related to the common honeybee. They're widespread in the Neotropics. They do have stingers, but the stingers are highly reduced, so they can't be used in any type of defense. So they can't sting you, which I thought was really cool. Wouldn't that be great if our bees were like that here? Yeah. Besides their size and the lack of stinging, there's several other notable differences. They do produce honey, but it's kind of a distinctive sour-tasting honey, kind of a sweet and sour from what I've found. It is said to have antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties, and it's sometimes used as an eye ointment. Now here's an interesting fact. Unlike the vertical honeycombs of our common honeybees that we keep, the Meliponines store their honey in egg-shaped pots made of beeswax, but they're actually arranged around a central set of horizontal brood combs instead of vertical. Now, another interesting thing I learned was that unlike true honeybees, whose female bees can become workers or queens just strictly depending on what kind of food they receive as larvae, like the queens that we have here, they're fed the royal jelly, and that's what forms them into queens. But in the case of these bees, the developing queen is decided solely on the amount of pollen that they consume. So larger amounts of pollen yields the queens, and then also the queen cells are actually identical in size to the worker cells, and up to 25% of the larvae can develop into queens. And then once the new queens emerge, they'll typically leave to mate, and most of them actually die. These bees also do not reproduce colonies by swarming. I thought that was really interesting as well. Instead, the bunch of the workers gradually go out and they construct a new nest at a secondary location, and then that nest is actually joined by a newly mated queen. And at that point, a lot of workers take up permanent residence with her, and they help her create new brood, and that's how they make a new colony. Well, that's just a few of the facts that I found in my research about the Apis melipona. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll link the articles that I used in the video description if you want to check out more information on that. But I sure appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this video, you learned something, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. And if you'd like, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. You'll be notified whenever I publish another video. And I'd just like to say, as always, thanks for joining. Pappy Richard.